Hello and welcome to livealittlehigher.com. Today we begin the week with Parashat Tzav, and this Parashat Tzav is the continuation of last Parashat Vayikra about the consecration of the temple, of the Mishkan with the sacrifices. And here the Rebbe, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, is giving us a siha in which he traces further parallels between the sanctuary that was built by the Israelites in the desert, in the wilderness, and the sanctuary which is every Jew. Every one of us is a sanctuary to Hashem. So this parasha is talking about the continual fire that was going on in the Mizbeach, on the altar where they used to make the sacrifices. The altar was always burning. It would never be turned off. It had to be a continuous flame in that altar. And it says, fire shall be kept burning upon the altar continually. It shall not go out. So what it means really that in our inner sanctuary, we have to have this fire inside of us. We have to have this passion for Hashem. And we should never allow it to get diminished, and we should never allow it to expire, like to get turn off. We have to continuously work on ourselves to be always inspired and always connected to Hashem and to His Torah and to His mitzvahs. So this inner fire will always be burning inside of us. And he says that the heart is the altar, like in our bodies, the heart is what represents the altar. And corresponding to the two altars of the sanctuary, the outer and the inner, are the outer inner levels of the heart, its surface personality, and its essential core. So there were two altars. One was outside of the courtyard, which was where they used to sacrifice the animals, and the other one was inside of the courtyard. This is where they used to burn the incense. So the one they're talking about right now, it's the one in the outer courtyard, and this talks about our essence, our inner core as a Jew, that we are mamesh, a piece of Hashem. We are an emanation of Him, and we have this godly spark on us. And no matter what we do in life, how far we go, how low we go, this spark will always have a little fire in it. It will never extinguish, and it's in the recesses of the heart. So as far away as you are, as cold as you feel you are, impassionate and with no desire for anything, you have to know that there's always a little spark inside of you waiting for you to ignite it. So the altar on which the continual fire was to be set was the outer one, and for the Jew this means that the fire of his love for God must be outward. So we should show our love for God. How do we show our love for God? By praying, by learning Torah, by doing acts of love and kindness towards others, by living a Jewish life. And in this way, we show our love for Hashem, and it's outward. And it says here that the concept of Shabbat is that of rest and withdrawal from the weekday world, and every day acts as forbidden. But Shabbat is not only a day of the week, in the sense that it's a state of mind. Like on Shabbat, the only thing that changes is that our minds are in a different place. We change like in dimension. We are not concerned about the mundane. We're concerned about the spiritual. But this spiritual state on Shabbat is also considered a week of the day, because it's part of the work, but it's a different type of work. It's rest. So it says here, and you shall call the Shabbat a delight, and on Shabbat the perception of God is more intense, and the fire should not go out. So even though on Shabbat we're resting and we're more relaxed and we're in a different state of mind, it means that we also have to keep igniting our fire. It's interesting because on Shabbat you cannot turn a fire, but what it's telling us here is the fire is already turned on, but you cannot let it go down. So if you have to keep on fueling it, you have to keep on fueling it, so that fire, that internal fire inside of you will not be extinguished. So the Maggid of Mesrit said that instead of reading the phrase, "I shall not be put out," we can read it, "It will put out the knot." So what he's saying here is that the fire of love extinguishes the negative. When we have so much love for Hashem and so much passion, whatever negativity we have in our life, it just disappears because it's consumed by this fire. And the Jew has this capacity to say no to coldness, to be far away from feeling frigid and cold in life. I remember once I went to visit a lady in the hospital. She was in the psychic ward, and this lady was so depressed, and I told her, like, what do you like to do? And she says, I don't like to do anything. I said, don't you like to go to the beach? I don't like to go to a beach. Do you like to paint? I don't like to paint. Like, I could not find one thing that this lady would like feel a little bit of a passion for. And this reminds me of that we should never allow ourselves to fall into such a place in which we don't feel like a passion for anything. And for sure she had a little spark inside of herself. She just needed to clean the dust in her to be able to rekindle that fire. So coldness, and what it's saying here is that the remark of the Maggid stresses the fact that to put out the fire must be continual. It must be fed by constant attachment to Torah and to mitzvot, and once or occasionally or not long ago are not enough. The fire dies down, coldness supersedes, and the no is given its dominion. So to be able to be a person that lives inspired, you need to work at it. It's not going to come by itself. It needs work. You have to pray once a day, twice a day, three times a day. Take 10 minutes a day and give it to God and pray to Him. Thank Him for your blessings. Acknowledge His goodness in your life. Ask for the things you need. And if you make this part of your ritual, of your day, then you start fueling that fire inside of you. You're going to start feeling more connected. Learning Torah is very important, like to listen to a shiur once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week, 10 minutes of livealittlehigher.com will also allow that fire to be continuously burning. And the third thing that it's very important that we should always be doing is acts of love and kindness. Whenever we have the opportunity to help someone else with charity, with just helping them, we should do it, because this also keeps us going and keeps us inspired. So what it says here also, which is very interesting, is that what the Maggid was trying to say is to remember what Amalek did to the Jews when they left Egypt, that we should never forget what Amalek did. And Amalek was these people that came and attacked the Jews. All the other nations were petrified of the Jews because they knew Hashem was taking care of them. But Amalek, it's a coldness. It's like, it's doubt. It's when doubt is put inside of you. And they didn't care. They didn't care about God. And they came and attacked the Jews. And so they put a precedent to the other nations that they could attack the Jews. Even if they failed, they could do it. So internally, the Yetzer Hara, our Yetzer Hara, our own Yetzer Hara, it's always trying to turn that fire off. It's always trying to tell you, no, you cannot do that. No, you don't have time. No, you're not good enough. And it's always trying to bring us to that cold part of ourselves that won't allow us to keep ourselves inspired. And it says here also that although fire comes down from heaven, it is a commandment also for man to bring fire. So this fire that was burning in the altar, in the Mizbeach, actually came from God. It was a fire that came down, but it was a job of the Kohen to keep it burning. He had to continuously keep it going. So what this teaches us is that Hashem gives us the internal light. He gives us that flame, that spark. That He gives us. But it is our job to continuously work on it and keep it going. And in this way, it's going to be a continual and an infinite fire, because what he's saying here, the Rebbe, is this is suggested by the word continual in the description of the fire. What is continual is infinite, for it has no end in time. So what is interesting here is that man cannot aspire to infinity, because we are finite beings. We ourselves have a deadline. Like we come and we're born one day, we have a deadline. So we cannot aspire to being infinite ourselves as human beings. The neshama is an infinite composition. But only when he has perfected his own fire and gone to the limits of his spiritual possibilities, man is answered by God, not when he resigns himself to passivity or despair, but when he has reached the frontier of his own capability. So when man works on himself every day of his life to have that fire burning inside of him, and this is intention, kavanah, then what happens is that we are able to cross that line of infinity of finite to infinity. And how that does happen? What is continual is infinite, for it has no end in time. So Passover is coming next week, and if you see, for thousands of years, Jewish people sit around their Seder tables. I got a video of Jews sitting even in Auschwitz, in the ghettos, in Russia, in Nepal, you name it. So this is a continual fire. This is something that the Jews started 3,500 years ago, and it has gone on and on and on and on and on and on, and it's going to continue going on. So even if you are not in this world physically, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren, they're going to be sitting around a Seder table, and this is what makes it infinite. Because what is infinite is your deeds. We cannot take anything from this world. The material world stays here. Not even your family you can take with you. But every deed that you did to connect to Hashem, to bring godliness into the world, this becomes infinite. And this is the fire. So this is the way in which you can bring God down to earth, make a dwelling place for Him, and make the finite infinite. So I want to wish you a beautiful week, a happy week, and a Hag Sameach. You should have a kosher Pesach V'Sameach with joy, and enjoy your family and your loved ones, and we'll see each other after Pesach. Live a little higher. Thank you.